welcome to LA Blockchain Summit. We have a very good discussion today, I believe. And I welcome the DC from HashKey, and welcome the Remington from the Fenbushi, and also welcome the Hongfei from the NEO. So why don't you guys give some brief introduction about your institution or your organization or even yourself, what you are trying to do recently? Okay, I guess we can start from maybe from DC.
Hi everybody, this is Deng Chao from HashKey Capital. HashKey Capital is a blockchain investor based out of Hong Kong. Currently, we run 2 funds. One focused more on equity investment, the other more on token investments. We've been in a place for quite a long time. I guess since 2015, together with our parent company, Wanshan Blockchain. Great pleasure to join the panel today. Looking forward to the discussion.
Okay, and how about Remy?
Hi, my name is Remington. I'm a partner at Fenbushi Capital. Fenbushi Capital is Asia's first blockchain VC. We're founded in 2015, also worked very closely together with DC and the Wanshan Group as well. Since then, we've invested in over 120 plus projects globally. Our mission has been to, over the past 5 years, has been to kind of grow the ecosystem and bring a lot of new talent into the blockchain space. And I think that since then, the space has grown a lot. So over the next 5 years, we'll be focused on growth and adoption.
Okay, then it's Uncle Da, right? Da Hongfei from NEO is very well known. So yes, please.
Yeah, just call me Da. Yeah, it is a bit weird to call me Uncle Da. Yeah, from you, from Richard.
Okay.
So my name is Da Hongfei. I'm probably best known to be the founder of NEO. NEO is the first public blockchain that is originated from China, and we started around the same time as Ethereum did in 2014. And currently, NEO is one of the maybe top 20 market cap public blockchains. I'm also involved in other blockchain business. For example, I founded a blockchain solution company, mostly for enterprises and governments in China, which is called OnChain. And OnChain also has a branch in Singapore to do custody business. It's called OnChain Custodian. So I'm quite involved in a lot of line of business in the blockchain industry.
Okay, great. So welcome the panelists again. Today we have 2 guests from the VC side, institution side, right? And one from the project entrepreneur like Da. So today we are very brief discussion for Remington and also DC. We're still wondering, are you still investing in crypto project? And how about the equity side, right? Because most of people, maybe they are in the crypto side, but how about the equity side of the blockchain company, especially in China? So maybe you can start from DC again.
Hi, that's a very good and interesting question. We're still actively looking at the projects and investing. Even during the coldest time of the crypto winter in last year, we're moving at the same pace as the industry involves. We are investing both in the crypto space, in token projects, and also in equity projects. You mentioned a very important phenomenon especially in China, when the Chinese president Xi advocated blockchain technology to a national strategy level. I think that boosted the morale at least in mainland China. You see a lot of projects focused on the permission chain space. You can name a few of them in Beijing, Hangzhou, and Shenzhen and Shanghai. But they are mostly focused on the tech space, blockchain as a technology. Everybody knows that they are not encouraged to do anything related to tokens. But given the market, the market size in mainland China, and the support from local governments, I do think there are a lot of opportunities in this area. So we are actively working with corporates, local governments, and some government-backed investors and industry players to both invest in a space and work together to bring the technology to real-world application. So that's a brief answer to your question. I hope that addresses your
Right, good. Understand that. Well, actually, we're also working with some local.
Your question.
Right. Yes. Thank you. You know what? Actually, we're also trying to working with some local government. By the way, earlier you mentioned about the crypto winter, right? So, how do you see the DeFi things, this DeFi hype right now, especially again in China?
Richard, is that question for me?
I mean, you just mentioned earlier about the crypto, so-called crypto winter, right? You said so, right?
Yeah.
So how do you see the DeFi hype in China, especially?
Oh, DeFi is I talked about this recently. You see, the blockchain space is never lack of new ideas. The DeFi is a new wave of efforts to try it deserves a lot of attention, our attention. To watch very closely what's value investing.
Okay, I guess
we gotta be careful. Hyped projects from
right.
Sorry.
Right, I guess this connection is not that good, right? So, well, the same question goes to Remington, right, about the crypto investment and also the equity. How do you see that?
Can you hear me now?
Okay, in China, Remington.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so in terms of investing, I think very similar to DC, we've been continually investing. Crypto winter 2018, 2019, we were doing a couple of deals per month. Same thing this year in terms of sort of after COVID, we've done a dozen new investments and maybe half a dozen follow-ons to our existing portfolio as well. I think the DC already mentioned some interesting things about equity of blockchain company in China, because over the past 5 years, the trend has been for Chinese entrepreneurs and Chinese teams to incorporate overseas, to incorporate in Switzerland or Singapore or some other place in order to raise funds. And that has largely been due to sort of lack of clarity in regulations and things like that. But ever since blockchain became a national priority, and especially with companies that are focused on serving enterprise customers, like on-chain, like Uncle Da mentioned, or some of the companies, there is a necessity, there's a return of some of these technology companies to incorporate in China and raise money with their equity in China as well. So that's something that we've started seeing more in 2019. So at Fenbushi, I mean, we started with both a USD and RMB fund, and historically we've been more active on the USD side, but I think over this year and over the coming years we will have more activity on the RMB side as well.
I see. Well, it looks like it's still pretty promising about this industry, right? So yeah, how about that, right, Hongfei? you must know a lot of crypto VC in China, and do you see them still investing actively? And also, I heard that you have also your own new project, right? It's also DeFi project. So could you give us a little bit introduction about that?
Okay, let me talk about the investment first. I'm not as optimistic as DC. I'm not seeing a lot of investment from venture capitalists into the blockchain technology company itself. So we have to, at least in China, you have to separate or you have to categorize blockchain business into two categories. So the first one is crypto related. The other one is non-crypto. I saw a lot of Chinese originated capital venturists. They set up entities in Hong Kong, in Singapore, or maybe other places, and they use that entity to invest in crypto-related business. But for blockchain technology alone, I haven't seen a lot of investment events happened in mainland China. Most of the VCs are hoping their blockchain portfolio will one day or very soon be listed on the Ke or I don't know how to say it in exact English word. It could be technology and startup board. In the A stock market.
Traditional regular exchange, right? The stock exchange in Shanghai.
Yeah, to be listed in the exchanges, regulated exchanges in Shanghai. But that is difficult because it's still very difficult to make profits from providing blockchain technology to enterprises and governments. So that's my answer to the investment. And for DeFi, I think it's there is a craze around DeFi recently. Everybody is trying to do yield farming, but it cooled down a little bit in the past few weeks. NEO recently launched a new project called Flamingo. Flamingo is a cross-chain full stack DeFi project. And last time I checked, that is yesterday, the total value locked is about $1.5 billion US. And out of this 1.5 billion, 1/3 is coming from came from Ethereum, and the other half came from centralized exchanges, and the other 1/3 came from a centralized exchange, and the left 1/3 came from NEO and Ontology. So it's a very diverse asset or origination or region.
Right. Okay, I see. But I can tell that DeFi still has a very good potential, right, in the future. Right, depends on how the team doing that. So yeah. Also, you mentioned about the blockchain technology company is quite difficult to get a profit in China. Yeah, indeed, we also see that. But as traditional equity investors, right? So we're still looking for that kind of company anyway. So the next questions go to Remington. Okay. So what is the difference between China and US regarding the blockchain startup from your angle? So, and do you use any different strategy or tactic to do that investment between the US and China?
Yeah, thank you. So I think that when we started 5 years ago, the difference was more clear. I think that in the US and in Western countries, there's more of a focus on product, whereas in China, there was more of a focus on commercialization and sort of getting users and traction and things like that. I think that, one of the reasons we started Fenbushi was to bridge that gap between the talent in the West and the East. And I think because blockchain is such a decentralized culture, there have been a lot of teams that are really global. So all their teams are spread out in different countries. So it's not, the difference between Chinese projects and US projects is not as obvious now as it was a few years ago. So in terms of our strategy, we think there needs to be a balance between innovative product and commercialization. You can have a very high-tech product with no users, and that's quite useless as well. So So we try to kind of drive synergies within our portfolio. We will invest in talented people on kind of both sides of the spectrum, and we try to drive synergies by connecting them, by getting cooperation, so that you have both an innovative product and traction.
I see. Okay, so this may I have a comment from you about your strategy? How do you see the difference between the U.S. and the blockchain and also China startups in blockchain area? So again, I guess the this connection is not that good, right? So okay, let's skip this a little bit and let's go to
Can you hear me?
Right. Okay, you come back. So anyway, this is so.
Okay, sorry.
You heard my comment, my message earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I was out. I was cut out for like 30 seconds. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Remington's comment that the projects in the Western community tend to be focused more on the tech side, more deep tech, more about the token economic design. The projects in Asia, particularly in China, are more about commercialization. But that's the uniqueness of the blockchain community, the space. It's been like this since very early days. So our strategy in investment has been adapting to the landscape. We are investing both in the U.S. And in China. Our investment strategy has been consistent. So that doesn't regional uniqueness, regional features doesn't affect our investment strategy, because we've been investing under the same strategy since very early days.
I see. Good. Okay. So let's go to that. So Dongfei, you are very successful entrepreneur, right? And there are a lot of the apps. Either they develop based on NEO or based on the on-chain, right? And you do see a lot of different teams worldwide. So what's your observation about the difference between the team? I mean, China and US.
I think many of our audience probably heard of the diffusion of innovation. There is a curve describes the spread of innovation, original ideas. At the very left of the curve are the innovators and early adopters. I think that the concentration percentage of these kind of people are probably higher in US, in the Western world. But the Chinese startups, Chinese engineers are more like early majority, early adopters, early majority, and sometimes late majority. But they are also equivalently or sometimes even more essentially important to the spread of innovation. So China people tend to be very practical. Only if they saw business opportunities, they will invest in their money, invest in their time, their talents. The Western world is relatively more open to new ideas. So I think it's a very good combination. So on the Chinese side, we can learn, we can influence by new ideas coming from the Western side, and then we adopt them, we engineer them, and make it better.
Okay, so actually there's a lot of Chinese team, they learn about the idea from US or Europe, right? And they can develop their market here in China and make maybe even more, say, better development here. Okay, good. And
yeah, but actually, sorry, I also need to make an addition to the point is, but we are gradually seeing a lot of new ideas coming from China, and some big giant internet companies are trying to learn from Chinese enterprise, Chinese internet business are doing, like WeChat, like Alipay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So actually for this blockchain summit, it's open for the worldwide, right? So I believe your insight is very useful to the foreign audience. Okay, so I guess now I have a last one question for all of you. Today we still see the traditional venture capital still not into this, not into commit this blockchain market, right? I mean traditional, right? Equity investors. So not even mentioned about the crypto, right? So why is that? Why? Because we are all in this market, but there's still a lot of people, a lot of institutions not in this market. So why is that? I'd like to get your comment about that. And if that can be changed, how? What's your solution or what's your suggestion? So let's go to DC first, okay? DC. Hope I got a connection from you now.
I can you hear me? Hi, Richard.
Yes.
Thanks for the question. That's also very, very interesting and often asked by investors both from traditional VC capitalists and also from the blockchain community. Through my personal experience, I think there are several factors that are affecting the current status of traditional investor getting into the blockchain space. What tops the list is regulatory clarity. I think that is a big big obstacle or a big challenge for a lot of traditional investors. Because for traditional investors, when they are evaluating a project or an investment opportunity, their internal legal team, compliance team will have to approve the project or the way they invest in the projects. If there's no regulatory clarity, I think they will not give a green light to the investment opportunity. And that, but to our what we can see, there are positive changes in the space. Regulators either in the US and in Asia, in Hong Kong, Singapore, they're getting more and more like clearer in terms of regulatory frameworks, regulatory directions. I think the situation is getting better. The other factor that we may consider is institutional infrastructures. The investors in traditional VC or financial institutions, the scale or the size of the investment is much larger than what we see in the existing market, probably like 10 times or 100 times bigger. When they get in, they need to feel comfortable about their funds in terms of custodians, fund administration, auditor, etc. When all these pieces, when all these are at place, when they feel comfortable, they can come in because their money is entrusted by their investors. They have to make everything ready before they can trust their money with the projects and the investment funds. Probably if we can see more investment vehicles or investment products like Grayscale or blockchain-based ETF futures, then they have more options, more choices to get into the place. Also, there are some other factors. I think mainly 3 factors: regulatory clarity, infrastructures, and professional like service providers.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty true. Yes. Okay, indeed. Okay, how about Remington? What's your thought about this?
So first of all, I want to say I don't agree that traditional VCs are not in blockchain and crypto. I mean, this whole LA Blockchain Summit is put together by the Draper Venture Capital, Andreessen Horowitz has committed dedicated A16Z crypto fund. And then we've got big players like Sequoia, like XLIDG, like Union Square Ventures and so forth, which have all made very significant investments in the space. So I don't agree that traditional VC is not in yet. And even beyond traditional VC, I mean, we've done co-investments with Goldman Sachs, with American Express, with Fidelity, and so forth. So even large financial institutions, they've made investments in the space. That said, they do tend to be more on the equity side, and there's a little bit less on crypto. So to that second point, I do agree with what VC mentioned, which is that in the past few years, some of the infrastructure, some of the regulations haven't really caught up yet. But that has also changed a lot in the past 5 years. We now have custodians that are set up by major financial institutions. We now have even recently crypto exchanges that have full bank charters in the US. And I think that there are sort of, in terms of regulatory clarity, in places like Singapore and the US and so forth, it's come a long way in the past 5 years. So I think that as that continues to improve, we will see more and more traditional institutions get into the space.
I see. Yes, it's definitely a good thing to have more old money come into this sector. So how about Hongfei? What's your comment on this? Because I do believe that you also meet a lot of investors, right? Uh-oh. Whoops. So, right, I'm not sure what happened with the connection. Okay, we got you back. So, yeah.
Okay, so same question, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I think it's not necessarily a bad thing that the non-crypto startups are not getting as much money as the crypto business did. It's just a free market. It's just because the opportunities are the returns, the investments are just better deals in the crypto side. So I think it's not a bad thing. Money is very smart. Where there is an opportunity, where money will flow to. So it's just it just means that the opportunities in the crypto area at this moment, at this stage, are just bigger. They're just better.
Right.
Yeah. So
yeah.
my understanding is HashKey and Fenbushi invested a lot in both in crypto and non-crypto businesses. So if you want to bet on both sides, just put your money into them.
Right, that's true. I think, yes, your comment is the market will decide it by itself, right? So it's free market, as you mentioned. And I guess the smart money is not necessarily smart, but the money itself needs to be smart. It really depends on how we use that. We do the investment. Okay, good. So I guess that this is trying to catch your fly, right? And we have a very short panel. I guess it's about it. Again, welcome, all of you. Welcome. Thank you for DC. Thank you for Remington, and also thank you for Hongfei to join this panel. I guess this end of our discussion.